Zoning Board of Appeals, you're live on the air and you're being recorded.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of East Hampton Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for September 21st, 2021. We have a full agenda this evening. We'll start off with our public hearings. The first public hearing this evening is Robert Savage at 115 Waters Edge in Springs, tax map number 300-83-7-3. And the
and you're being recorded.
is everything all right? Good.
Excuse me,
Okay,
actually,
sorry.
I'm sorry, Chair. Excuse me, Billy Mack. I just heard a little echo. If you could make sure if in your location there's no other broadcast of this meeting, just the computer interaction, that'll be feedback.
I just paused my other broadcast, so thank
Thank
you
you
for bringing that up.
Thank you. Sorry, Chair. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thanks, Billy. Okay, we'll move along here now. So we have the applicant. I've read in the tax map number, and the lot size and location is 76,150 at 115 Waters Edge at Barnes Landing, number 2768. Lots 499-505 Springs, tax map number, again, I've read that in. Description is to allow the as-built inclusion of bluff restoration and reconstruction of a timber ladder into the authorization for the reconstruction of a bulkhead. The relief sought is a modification of the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Zoning Board's Natural Resources Special Permit Determination File 9/24/19, which granted the in-place reconstruction of 262 linear feet of bulkheading and the in-place reconstruction of a 4-foot by 99-foot timber staircase on a parcel of land containing coastal bluffs, beaches, and tidal surface waters. This is in an A2 residence zoning district. The flood zones are VE, velocity, and X flood zones, and the secret class is type 2. And council, do we have a proper affidavit of service and posting?
Have an affidavit that the mailings went out on the 9th day of September and that the posting was done on the 10th day of September, so the paperwork appears to be in order.
Okay, thank you, council. And board member, Vice Chair Deline is not with us this evening. And board member Brenneman, I believe, is pinch hitting for Roy on this. Tim?
Yes, and Eleni, I believe, would have the photos that she could pop up. And I realize that we're doing two separate hearings here, but there are two properties, the first two that are on our schedule this evening that are very closely related. I don't think that's it.
Sorry about that.
I think it's Tyler, right? Tyler, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, Tyler's pinch hitting for Brian, who's exactly.
Is that showing it there?
Brian Frank.
Those photos?
Yep, back up one.
Okay.
There
They're
you
a little
go.
out of order. That's the issue. Okay.
That's okay. So we have properties, the Savage property is at 115 Waters Edge. The property next door is the Simpkins property at 123 Waters Edge. And they're separate hearings, separate matters, but for the purposes of the field report, I'm just going to give a single report. So this was one of the notices that was posted. If we can go to the next one. So this would be specific to the 115 Waters Edge. So both properties were properly posted. Next. Okay, so board members, I'm looking at the survey that was attached as part of the Savage modification request. And this, what you're looking at is the stairway that is at the far north of the property. And I just took a picture of it. I can tell you that it is, in fact, as steep as it looks in this photo.
It's fun, huh, Tim? It's a workout.
It is, especially to get back. Okay, next photo.
Last one. Well, I guess we'll go. Are these?
No, that's a different.
That's the last photo I have that I was given.
Those are the only photos?
Those are the only ones that I received.
Okay, I sent, okay. Well, let me just verbally say, and I believe that there are photos as part of the planning department analysis here. I did go down and personally inspect and photographed and sent the photographs in of the reconstruction, as well as the condition of.
Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah.
Restoration. Yeah, this is, these are the planning department
Yeah,
photos.
these are ours.
At this point, this is now very grown in. It looks very, very nice, I have to say. The board, many of the people on the board will recall that, yeah, these are the photos. And so the board will recall that when this was in front of us back in 2019, we approved an in-place reconstruction. There was a request to increase the height along here to 18 inches higher. We denied that portion of the request, but you can see what we're looking at here. We're actually looking toward the north on this one. So this, we would be in front of the Savage property looking up toward the Simpkins property. So really nicely done. And I believe the planning department gave it very high marks in terms of the condition of it. And so sorry for the confusion around the photos, but that's my field report.
Tim, thank you very much for pinch hitting.
Chair, I've located them.
Oh, great.
If you want them, oh no, these are 19. Sorry. Nope. I thought I located them. I found another folder of.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I happened to be there today, and I did click a few photos, and I could email those over to Tyler, and if later on, if he wanted to put them up on the screen. But because, as you say, as you noted, Tim, what's there now certainly is in pretty great shape, and it's kind of nice to see the difference between the previous and the new. So I could do that while we continue on, in case Tyler wants to pull them up later or something.
Chairman Willen, there's also, as part of the application modification packet, there's 3 photos that show it relatively recent.
Okay.
They were probably taken about 2 months ago, maybe 3.
Okay. Well, they might be helpful. I'm sure that'd be great. I'll go ahead and just send these in case we want to pull them up. But thanks again, Tim, for pinch hitting. Any questions, board members?
Mr. Chair, it would be helpful for me if we didn't mind going back. There were 2 photos that we did click by. One was obviously the condition of the steps sometime in the past versus what you must have in place now. This is the one that's current or not?
That was back in March.
Okay, March from now. And earlier, one of those photos looked like the stairs were in disarray looking from the water edge up.
Right.
That's something you can go back to for a second here.
That I would assume is what you're referencing?
Yeah, right here. This one here. This one or the one before. Okay, so this photo, just for my information, these photos were taken when? That was the staircase?
That is labeled March 3rd, 2021.
Oh, so this is of this spring, previous spring.
Early spring, yeah.
Yeah. And then the photos that were taken today by member Renneman, were they for a significant improvement on that, just so I can get a visual on what the difference is?
I just emailed mine to Tyler. If I don't know how quickly those come through, just a couple that show it today.
Okay.
I've done the same, Mr.
Yeah.
Chair. So hopefully Tyler will get a series of.
Yeah, and maybe we can move on. Maybe we can move on with this hearing and then use those for a quick update on the field report for the next one. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. So now we'll hear from the applicant or the applicant's agent, Billy.
Hi, guys. Billy Mack, First Coastal. Yes.
I'll swear you in, Billy. If you please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
The bulkhead was reconstructed last fall/winter. And we noticed that after the reconstruction, obviously we needed to revegetate. However, the steepness of the slope of the bluff concerned us getting through the winter months without vegetation growth. So we jute matted it and put in the core logs at the base of that matting to ensure that the soils retained themselves, which was part of the normal conditions of all the work that we do to retain any soil erosion, and obviously planted with beach grass. So that you noticed the beach grass is thriving, and the matting sustained or kept the bluff stable while the beach grass roots started adhering to the shoreline or to the bluff face. So we think it was a successful project. We updated the plan as requested by Mr. Frank's office, and that's what you're seeing here right now.
And this is now my photo from Sunday when I was there. So
Great.
This would be looking north toward the Simpkins property, but you can see the condition of the restoration.
Yeah, I agree. It was really great to see, actually. Vice Chair Deline, he runs up those stairs. I jogged up them, but I had to stop once or twice. He's younger than I am. But the stair is actually in not too bad a shape. But do they plan on rebuilding that, taking advantage of that permit, Billy?
You know what? The stairs have seemed fine. It's not like they get used 100 times a day, so they're sufficient for the use, and there's no mention by the property owner to do anything with them. Minor repairs, perhaps.
There were one or two. Yeah, they did look like they were in pretty good shape to me. Yeah. Tim probably agrees. Fairly good shape.
Member Johann's observation is not inaccurate, but I did not find them dangerous in any way at this point, other than that it was an awfully long climb back up.
It's a workout.
Yeah.
Any other questions from Billy, board members here?
Now, can we just confirm the date of the survey they sent in? Is that June 8th, 2021? The received date?
June
I
8th is
haven't
when we
updated.
received our packets, so that would make sense.
What?
Yeah, it's
June 8th
best.
is when we received the modification, so that's correct.
Yeah, due date? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
It looks like January 28th.
Right, the actual,
Last update.
Yeah, the last revision's a good date to use. Yeah.
okay.
Survey's not really giving us much information on this either.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Billy, I do understand that at one point you went back and replaced some of the ties from like a nylon to a jute or something like that.
Correct. That's exactly right. Yes.
And I think I
Okay.
took a close up of that, which clearly showed it's now twined. So
Mhm.
it all looked good.
Yeah. Okay, let's hear from the planning department now. Tyler, if you would, please.
Sure, absolutely. Do you need me to
I'll go ahead and swear you in. Tyler, if I may, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
This is fairly straightforward. There was a previous approval on this, which was discussed for the bulkhead. It wasn't approved for height increase, but it was approved to be rebuilt, which was done. And then a slight restoration was done to the face of the bluff. Everything was done in accordance with what the planning department would recommend as far as that's concerned, except for, as you mentioned, the plastic ties, which have been replaced. So everything at this point looks great. I will mention that on the southern property, which is or was Savage, had the, let me see if I can find the photo. This ladder also replaced. It was a CCA ladder. It was replaced with a hardwood ladder. So everything as far as that's concerned as well is something that the board would probably have have approved at the time, or at least the planning department wouldn't have had an issue with it. And this stairway was also approved to be replaced, but hasn't been yet. And so those are the two other things, other than the restoration. We didn't have any objections to it. It seems pretty straightforward. I can answer any questions that you might have on it.
Thank you, Tyler. Board members, any questions for Tyler?
No,
No questions.
Michael, at LTV, do we have any callers here for the public, or?
Yes, Chair. There are 2 callers on hold. I can unmute the first caller. The last 4 digits of their phone are 9072, and see if it pertains to this hearing. I'll unmute that caller now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hello, caller with the phone ending in 9072. You're live on the air with the zoning board. Hello, caller with the phone ending in 9072. Are you there? Perhaps they're holding on for another hearing. I can move on to the next caller if you like, Chair.
They said no comments. Okay, maybe they're here for another hearing or just listening on the phone. I'm not sure. Okay, thank you.
I have one other caller on hold.
Oh, yes, please. Go ahead. Go ahead,
I'll
please.
just check and see. Their phone ends in 6093. I'll unmute that caller now.
Thank you.
Hello, caller with your phone ending in 6093. You're live with the Zoning Board of Appeals. Hearing nothing, I would imagine they might be holding on for another hearing in the future. There's no other callers on hold.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I guess we're about set at that. Tim, if you'd like to make a motion on this hearing, please.
Sure. So in the matter of Robert Savage at 115 Water's Edge in Springs, tax map number 300-83-7-3, I make a motion to close the public hearing and the public record, and hold the public record open until the next meeting after the transcript posts.
second,
I'll concur.
And I concur as well. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Tyler, for filming. And then we'll move on. I'll read in the next public hearing this evening. Very similar, obviously. It's Neil Simpkins at 123 Water's Edge in Barnes Landing in Springs, tax map number 300-83-7-52.1, formerly tax map number 300-83-7-2. And okay, and here are the lot size. Excuse me. Lot size and location: 64,610 square feet at 123 Water's Edge in Barnes Landing. And the description here is to allow the as-built inclusion of a bluff restoration into the authorization for the reconstruction of a bulkhead. Relief sought a modification of the zoning board's natural resources special permit determination filed 9/24/19, which granted the in-place reconstruction of 192 linear feet of bulkheading and construction of 13 linear feet of return at the southern end of the property on a parcel of land containing coastal bluffs, beaches, and tidal surface waters. This is in an A2 residence zoning district. The flood zones are VE velocity and X flood zones, secret class type 2. And council, do we have a proper affidavit of service and posting?
We have an affidavit that the mailings were done on the 9th day of September and that the posting was on the 10th day of September, so the paperwork appears to be in order.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, Chair,
Council.
if I could just interrupt.
Yep.
Can I just confirm the hearing we're on again? The name is...
Yes, we're on Neil Simpkins.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay, so we have Billy, you still there?
I
One
am
sec.
unmuted.
Yes, just 1 second on that,
Okay.
Chair.
And perhaps, Chair, you could just reference the field report done by
Oh, I'm
member.
sorry, I beg your pardon. Yeah, thank you, Nancy Lynn. Yes, and we are going to use the previous field report from the previous hearing, as these are adjacent neighbors. And the photos are in the public record, obviously. Okay, Billy, go ahead, please.
So exactly identical situation. We rebuilt these both property bulkheads at the same time and restored the adjacent bluffs and installed the jute matting and the core logs for soil erosion protection, and planted with beach grass. We also replaced the nylon straps with jute tie downs. And I believe this is the property that did have the ladder that was swapped out as well. And that ladder is constructed with compliant material.
Okay, thank you, Billy. Any questions, board members?
No.
Okay, let's hear. Tyler, any comments you'd like to make? Tyler Borsak from the Planning Department.
Yeah, Tyler Borzak for the Planning Department. No, there's no comments. It's very similar to the last application.
Yeah.
This one actually is just simply for the restoration. There's no other work that was done other than the restoration. And again, they fixed the concerns that we had, and this would have been okay with the Planning Department if it had been part of the original application as well.
Okay, thank you, Tyler. Okay, do we have anyone? LTV, do we have anyone in the public waiting to speak on this application?
We have the same callers that were not answering before. I can check with them to see if they pertain to this.
I wouldn't think so, but I guess we should as quickly as you can.
Okay, real quick, sure. The phone call and caller with the last 4 digits of their phone ending in 9072. I'm going to unmute that now. Hello, caller. Are you there with your phone ending in 9072? Nope. Perhaps holding on to the next one. I'll try the last one. The phone ending in 6093. I'll unmute that now.
Yeah, next time we should ask. Okay, hold on a second, sir. We should ask people, LTV, Michael, what they're here for. Because if you're not here for these hearings, you really should not be on the phones, because it makes us have to waste time going through this. So unless you're here for this hearing, you should please hang up and call back when we start reading in your hearing for all the hearings this evening, if you all please, in the public. Thank you. Okay, seeing none, Tim, would you like to make a motion to close us out on this public hearing portion, please?
Sure. In the matter of Neil Simpkins at 123 Water's Edge in Springs, tax map number 300-83-7-52.1. I make a motion to close the public hearing and to keep the public record open until 1 week after the next hearing.
I'll second.
No, until the next meeting.
Meeting after the transcript post. Thank you. Just so they stay together.
Right. Okay.
Next meeting after the transcript posts. Yes, sorry. I lost my writing there, so thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Do we have a second?
I'll second that one.
Yeah, I'll concur.
And I concur. Thanks again, Tim and Tyler. And Billy, have a good evening.
Thank you guys very much. I appreciate your time.
Take care. Okay, and just for the public, I'll let you know what's coming up so that you all can either stay on the phone if you're up next, or if you please get off the phone so that the lines are freed up. The next application we will be hearing is that of Edward F. Albee Foundation in 91 Fairview Avenue in Montauk. And after that, we'll be hearing another public hearing, 188 Old Montauk Highway at 188 Old Montauk Highway. And then after that, we will be moving on to another public hearing, Hispaniola Trust, 9 Shipwreck Drive in Amagansett. So that's the order. So we have a ways to get to some of those. So we'll keep moving here. Next, I'll read in the next public hearing. The applicant, excuse me, is Edward F. Albee Foundation at 91 Fairview Avenue, Montauk, tax map number 300-16-2-22. And the lot size and location is 242,394 square feet total at 91 Fairview Avenue in Montauk in residential section, map number 1014 in Montauk. And the description is to renovate an existing structure and alter the roof line to renovate, rebuild an existing cottage, to construct concrete patios, to construct slate walkways, additional clearing within 50 feet of a wetland, to construct AC units and heat pump, outdoor shower, to construct a gravel driveway with a paved parking area, generators, propane tanks, all on a parcel containing freshwater wetlands. The relief sought here is a natural resources special permit pursuant to 255-4-20 and 6 variances from 255-4-30 wetland setbacks. Variances of 56 feet, 48 feet, 43 feet, 30 feet are required to allow the alterations to the roof, the construction of slate patios, construction of the cottage, the paved parking area, and clearing to occur 44 feet, 52 feet, 57 feet, and 70 feet at the closest from wetlands where 100 feet is required. One variance of 6 feet is required to allow additional clearing 44 feet from a wetland where 50 feet is required. One variance of 49 feet is required to allow an upgraded sanitary system to be located 101 feet at its closest from a wetland where 150 feet is required. And any other additional, any other relief necessary from the East Hampton Town Code. This is in an A3 residence zone. The flood zone here is X. The secret class is type 2. And council, do we have a proper affidavit of service and posting?
We have an affidavit that the mailings were done on the 9th and the 10th day of September, and that the posting was done on the 9th day of September. And as such, the paperwork appears to be in order.
Okay. Thank you, council. Let's see. Board member Johan, I believe this is, you took this over this, you have this application, is that correct?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
I just want to comment before I begin. I've taken a great number of photos on this particular site. I'll move through them, but the complex nature of the site and its historic relevance in this, I thought they were appropriate, and I'll move right through them.
Thank
This
you.
Official notice at the roadside on Fairview Avenue. Next. When we're looking here, we're looking back south down Fairview Avenue. Everyone knows how Fairview makes a meander in 2 directions. It meanders around the golf course. Next. I'm looking back again north now, and we see it disappearing to the right in Fairview. Next. I just wanted to give you an idea of the neighborhood. Here, the houses all along this stretch are very well screened. This is a house immediately across from the driveway, and you can see that, although we can see it, it's got great screening, and that's typical of most of the houses in this particular stretch of Fairview Avenue. Next. Again, I just took a look here. This is going to be repetitive. I've got several photos to understand the intensity of the vegetation, and we'll see some wetland shots. This is a very well vegetated and large lot. You see that it's over 5 acres. It was read in by the chair. Next. So now I'm standing with my back to Fairview, and I'm looking down what is a right of way. This is not the property until further up, where you can see a sign in the distance that is the property in question. But this is the right of way that takes you into that property from Fairview. Next. Here's the second posting. This is set just about on the property line for the parcel that we are under discussion. Next. When I turn from that sign and I look, I see a fork in the road. To the left, there is a cottage that's off there. That's part of our discussion and part of what's being considered for the variances on this application. And to the right, we can see just a portion of what is the main structure on the property, which is the former stables, which is now residence. Next. I've just turned around to look back again to give you an idea. Well vegetated, right away coming back in, and you can see what's going on. Although there's invasives here, there's quite a bit natural vegetation as well, native vegetation as well. Next. One of the things that will be discussed here is that there's to be a future parking pad. There's a 4-car parking pad. This is the location. This is just inside the property line. And you can see that there was a driveway, as I've described already. One goes to the cottage, one goes to the house. These will be from the parking pad to those structures, be replaced with concrete walkways. That pole in the photo, and you can go to the next one, I have it again, is a good reference to understand where the parking is. The parking is closer to me from the pole by about 30 feet, and it sits right on that the intersection of where the two driveways verge apart. Next. Again, I'm looking back in. There's a proposed easement here, and surrounding all of the area that we're in discussion, we see some very mature vegetation. We also see some things that might be invasive. We can see mile a minute here to the left. But this is very typical of what the lot looks like once you turn in any direction away from what has been previously cleared or developed. Next. I'm looking down that driveway now at the cottage, which is off in the distance. Again, this gives you an idea how well covered and how deep a lot this is. It's a very old and historic parcel. Next. Now, this is a discussion, and you'll from reading through on the applicant request, this building is to be removed and another one put in its place. It's not exactly replace in kind, but it's similar in terms of volume, and we can get an idea where it's to sit and what we're looking at in terms of a request. Next. I've walked my way around. That was on the north side. This is the south side. I'm looking across, and you can see that there's a bit of a U here. These two wings, the one closest to me and the one with the barn door on the far side, are not drawn to be part of the new structure. There is a long rectangular building to be there. That can be discussed later. Next. And looking back, you get a little better idea. These two wings that are coming towards me, towards the south, are not part of the future planning. Next. I've turned and looked my way in. There's wetlands right through where the bright light is there. You can see some, obviously some glacial till. But again, this goes on as a fairly deep lot, and I wanted to make sure that you understood as we look at this, that the wetlands are vibrant, they're extensive, and that they are at this point fairly well protected, although they're invasives that are always a problem. Next. Again, we can just skip through this. Again, this is another, I turned a little bit. Again, just getting an idea for the thickness of the vegetation. Next. Again, same thing. This is all part of what is proposed is to be the scenic easement. And again, you can see the complex nature of the environment as it exists. Next. I'm standing now all the way at the back of a clearing, and it is referenced in the TAM that there is a deer fence around a garden which is to be removed. And this area where I'm standing and looking at the grass between here and that fence is to be revegetated as part of the proposal in their landscape drawing. I found that the drawing L100 was particularly useful in trying to locate some of the different features that are being discussed in the application. Next. Now I just went over to that fence and I turned and looked back. Now beyond that is the area of easement. There was some wetlands they took a shot of, and you can see a single post just gives you a location that I'm there looking back. This is an area of potential and proposed revegetation. Next. Now I've walked over, and this is the main building. This was the stables back. This is a building that is 90 years old. And you can see from the small windows that you see running out along there that this was once a stable. That was ventilation for stalls. This has been converted into housing and has been in constant use now for several decades. Next. This area here, I've just turned from the building. I'm looking over. There is a proposed IA system to go in. I'm looking at approximately where the IA system is to go. I'm looking at the tank would be just about right on that gravel, and it'll extend out to my left. Next. Next. I'm standing in front of a very large and beautiful black oak. The leaching fields for that are right in front of this, and they come out. And that's sort of important because in behind here, there's a number of stone walls that were put in during the Carl Fisher era that are now grown in with lots of vegetation. Next. To give you an idea of the run of the building, if the TAM describes it, this building as being 101 feet long and 32 feet wide. It looks every bit of the 100 feet in this photo. And you can see, you should get an idea that there's a leveled area, leveled during the Carl Fisher era. There's some grassy areas that surround the building in its entirety. This is about the width of it. We go to that woodland vegetation very quickly. It's not overly extensive in one area. Next. There is a shed on the property, and from standing directly behind on the east side of the horse barn, well, the structure rather, but was once the horse stable, I'm looking up a hill. It's a fairly steep rise, and there's a structure up there, which is a storage facility. Next. It's a fairly modern building in comparison to everyone else, and you can see that a platform of some sort was created to put the building in its place. Next. I'm standing at this corner and looking back. That far corner to my right is as close as any structure comes to property line on the property. Next. I walked to that corner and looked out, and this is the only structure other than the ones that are part of this parcel that can be seen from the property. You can see it's in the distance, and I'm standing about as far away from the main structure that I could get, and then part that was clear. Next. The rear of the building is where the proposed generator that's mentioned in the TAM is to be, and along the side of the building we have a buried propane tank. This is the area in which it would be installed. Next. I'm looking back from there down towards the building, and I just wanted to show that there's a fair amount of elevation here to be dealt with. It's fairly obvious when you're there that at the time that the stables were built and erected, that a platform was created along the edge of wetland in order to get the building placed. Next. This is an open area associated with the shed, and it does say the proposal in the TAM and from the applicant is that this will remain open and become, I guess, a socializing area, seated area. But it's important to note that this is not part of any section that wants to be revegetated. Next. This is we worked our way down a path, and there is a proposal for an outdoor shower and a series of the outdoor shower anyway is going to go right about here. You can see on your right, that's a sort of a gravelly path that's worked its way down from above, and almost right where we are, there's to be some retention there and an outdoor shower. Next. Just to give a feel, there's that spot again, looking back up. There's a fair amount of grade working our way down. Next. I'm working my way around to behind the building, and I wanted to give you an idea of how open there is. This is about the same 30-foot buffer or an established lawn that surrounds the entire building. Next. I'm looking back now at the building, and you get an idea of the volume of it. It's important to note, I think I have another photo, but there is a proposed concrete apron to go the width of the house on this side of the house. Next. If you look here, you'll see what can be described as a berm or an embankment. At some point, this was pushed up, cut out in order to create, and there is a proposal for a retaining wall, a concrete wall to be placed. It'll be a continuation of one that is buried in the woods at one spot. I wanted to put something in here to show that when you're looking at that retaining wall, this is part of the area, and this is what its intention is, to sort of guess long-term stabilize the area above it. Next. This is just a little further along. It continues to wind. You can see the shed in the back. Next. Again, you can see, it may be harder to tell, but that retaining wall is to come and circle at the base of this. And there is a fair amount of elevation to deal with. Next. This is across the back. Again, imagine you can see from the TAM and from the drawings that there will be an apron. They're proposing an apron to be installed here. Next. I just wanted to get, we can go on with this. This is just showing back into the woods and where we can see that the vegetation is very thick immediately behind here. Next. The wetlands are immediately below this grass area, so that when we were looking at the variances that are required of 50 and 47 feet, or the exact change I'm not sure about, but right from the grass, it falls off precipitously down to what is a very very handsome wetland that runs along it. You can see the mature vegetation. Again, this is a particularly unique and an attractive lot right in the heart of Montauk. Next. This is a view of that side of the house, the entire length, and you can see something of the construction. And again, the size of the structure and what we're dealing with. There are improvements that have been noted to be done on the roof lines and on the building itself. And this is part of the area where it would take place. Next. Just wanted to go back through here and show you that this is an area where we can see, although we have some mile a minute in front of us, this is a very, very vibrant area, lots of vegetation. Next. Same thing. We're looking right down into the wetlands. I know I have a lot of photos of it, but it's important because it's the one thing that impresses you when you're on the lot is just how complete and complex an ecosystem there is here. Next. The existing, covers for the existing septic. It's noted in the TAM that they are to be removed. We talked about the new IA system on the opposite side of the structure. These are noted to be pumped and filled with sand. They are sitting exactly above the wetlands, and so any movement on those would be preferable, obviously. Next. This is a shower, the existing outside shower that's on there looking back at a corner of the deck. I have one more here, I think. Next. I'm looking back. There is a proposal to have this become a concrete slab. That wooden deck would come out and a concrete walkway would make its way from the parking slab through the woods back here as one of the entries into the building. Next. Yeah, and that end of the building, just to get an idea what the structure is. Next. And I'm just looking back down from the building back to, that gives you an idea of the approach, which is going to now be a paved walk as proposed in their landscape plan. And I believe that's the last one. Is that it, Lenny?
Yes, that's the last one.
And mercifully, that comes to the end of my presentation. But I will say that in my 1 year on the board, I have not been on a more complex property or one that will require as much attention as it did to walk this one. So it was a very interesting and important lesson for me to get this time on the land. Thank you, Mr.
Well, thank you, Ed, and I completely agree with you. It's such an important site, and that was a wonderful field report. I know the board appreciates it, and it's wonderful to have someone with your knowledge of plant life and nature on the board as well. The board members all know that as well. So thank you for that. Any questions, board members, for Ed's field report? No. Okay, and Eleni, thank you for your work on that too and on this application. We will go to the applicant or the applicant's agent. I believe we have Karen Hogue here this evening.
Yes. Hi, good evening, board members. Karen Hogue of Toomey Latham on behalf of the Edward Albee Foundation. We have several speakers on the application, so I will try to be brief. With me tonight to discuss the application are Amit Hermath from Deborah Burke Partners, the architects on the project. Drew Bennett is the project engineer who will speak about the proposed sanitary and drainage. And present with me is Mike Shiano of InterScience, who will discuss the mitigation aspects of the application. Before turning over to them, I wanted to provide the board with some background on the foundation and an overview of the project. The property is owned by the Edward Albee Foundation, which was founded in 1967 by playwright Edward Albee. The foundation has since maintained the William Flanagan Memorial Creative Person Center, better known as the Barn, since the late 1960s. The barn is a two-story structure and has historically been used as a residence for writers and artists from all walks of life, providing time and space in which to work without disturbance. For the past 50 years, the Edward Albee Foundation has nurtured the talents of over 1,000 early career artists and writers by providing them residence and studio space at the barn. The existing barn has 4 bedrooms and working studio space to accommodate writers and visual artists. The barn also contains communal living areas for residents to cook and eat. The second residence on the property, which is the red building we call the cottage, has historically been used as studio space and the private living quarters for the center's facilities manager. The one-story cottage has one bedroom with cooking facilities and studio space. The town had issued a CO for both structures, including the shed, in December of 2017. And the application seeks to maintain the residential use, making site improvements to support artists and writers in a year-round setting, which currently they're unable to do so. The pre-existing structures are surrounded by freshwater wetlands to the south, east, and west of the parcel, as identified by board member Mr. Johan. With these site constraints in mind, the project architects, the project engineer, and the landscape designer, Summerhill Landscapes, prepared a site plan for the project that balances the renovations to the existing improvements with the regulatory requirements for the parcel. We had submitted some additional documents, including an updated survey and site plan, and a memo law was also submitted, which addresses the variance and NRSP standards. If the LTV person or if the board can let in the architect and hear Mayor, who can talk a little bit about the design of the project.
Sure. This is Mike at LTV. I'll unmute that caller right now.
Thank you, Mike.
So I'll just jump in. This is John Whelan. I'll jump in just to remind those on your team, Karen, that you're given 10 minutes. We've used just about 3 of those up now, and then all of the consultants, we are going to ask that they hold their comments to 3 minutes, because we, as you know, Karen, we receive all of your submissions and they're very thorough. So we're going to ask all of the consultants to limit their comments to 3 minutes. Okay, so go ahead, please. Although you still have 7 minutes left, Karen, of your presentation, so we give you that much time also. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So. Okay, do we have the architect?
Excuse me, Mr. Hiremath, are you there?
I can hear him.
Yes, sir. Could you speak up, please? His line's available and open, Chair.
Yes, we hear him, LTV, but we hear him. So let me swear you in. Give us your full name, sir, and your address one more time for the record, and then I will swear you in if you are not an attorney, okay? So go ahead, please.
Okay. Amit Haramis. I'm with Everberg Partners out of New York City.
And please spell your name for the record, please. Because the audio is not there.
Ameet. Last name Haramat, Hiremath.
Okay, thank you. And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, I'll keep my comments brief. The project scope, as you all know, is a renovation to these 2 existing structures, which you are now familiar with, and basic site improvements in the service of supporting the foundation's mission to support artists year-round. As Karen said, our intent is to undertake a respectful renovation of these beloved existing buildings. Our design approach considers their historic character and the important wetlands landscape, while trying to provide for today's needs of the foundation, which is simple, functional spaces for artists and writers. The stable or the barn, the foundation's home, is a 1920s gambrel-style structure. Our renovation, which is within the existing footprint, hopes to preserve its structural integrity and sensitive to its character, its materials, and details. The major structural elements are to remain repaired as necessary. The exterior finishes are in need of replacement. We'll do upgrades to insulation, windows, equipment, etc., as required by the energy efficiency requirements in the code. The cottage is a renovation without a change to the overall size. The wings, as the board member mentioned, are changing, and it's becoming a simple rectangle, but no change to the overall size. It's a modest structure, no change of use for quarters for the facilities manager, as Karen mentioned. The structure is in a good bit of disrepair, so elements will remain that can, primarily the foundation and what framing we can save, and otherwise will be repaired as necessary. And it will also undergo changes to meet the code minimum energy efficiency. So I will conclude with that and happy to answer questions later.
Okay, thank you for keeping your comments brief and thorough at the same time. We appreciate that. I have no questions. Let's start with Ed. Ed, any questions from the architect?
No, I do think that there's going to be a slight change in the size of the, am I incorrect? I was trying to look on the chart that you guys had provided. Isn't the cottage going to grow by several square feet, several hundred square feet or not? Am I wrong with that? Is the cottage going to be larger?
No, we have tried to take the area that was the wings that are changing and put it back in kind, just in a different shape. The overall footprint of the building is intended to be the same. I should say the overall square footage of the building is intended to be the same.
Yeah, so in volume, it's the same, although the footprint will have to change to a certain extent to accommodate this new configuration. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Any other questions, board members?
No.
Okay, let's go to the planning department now. Eleni?
John, if I can interrupt, I also have Drew Bennett.
Oh, I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. Yes, of course.
That's okay. I have Drew Bennett here, and I also have Mike Ciano from InterScience. So if we can let Drew in by phone.
Of
Mike?
course.
Yes, I can unmute that caller right now.
Thank you.
And my apologies, Karen.
Oh, no worries. Thank you.
Mr. Bennett, I believe you're there.
Good evening, Drew. Good evening, Drew.
Hi.
I'll go ahead and swear you in or could you just introduce us with your address, please, Drew?
Sure. This is Drew Bennett, consulting engineer on behalf of the applicant, doing business at 74 Montauk Highway in East Hampton.
Thank you, Drew. Drew, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead, Drew.
Okay. The existing cesspool system that serves the barn is currently 23 feet from wetlands, and we're proposing to install an IA system plus a pressurized shallow drain field as a polishing system for wastewater management that will serve both the cottage and the barn. We work with the planning department to find a good location to put this system that avoids clearing and meets the 100-foot setback from wetlands. So the leach field currently is 23 feet from wetlands. Will be greater than 100 feet under this proposal, and we're also providing on-site wastewater treatment. We have conditional health department approval pending approval from the town. As far as drainage is concerned, currently there is no drainage for the property, either structure or the parking area. There is what I would characterize a modest increase in total coverage, about 1,750 square feet of additional total coverage over about a 4-acre property, so that's a very modest increase. Some of that coverage is required to make the facility publicly accessible, so that's why you see some walkways and so on and so forth, is to make these buildings accessible under the 2010 ADA design standard. As I mentioned, there is no drainage currently. We're proposing to provide drainage for all the roofs, the modest parking area, as well as all the walkways, again, in conformance with the town design standards. That's all I have. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Drew, again, for being so succinct. We appreciate it. I have no questions. Board members, Ed?
Yeah, I just have one for Mr. Bennett, and that is the location of the new IA system. I had a photo there. I took the, the proposed plan, and I stood and I wondered if those leaching fields were going to be contained in what is now the flat lawn area and not push their way back into the vegetation. I took the photo of that one very large black oak, and I wondered if we could be assured that this was going to be placed in a way that would not do any additional damage to what is now the existing vegetation.
I have been to the property numerous times. Unfortunately, I'm on phone, so I didn't see the actual photograph that you showed. I can tell you that the design intent is to keep the shallow drain field, which is about 18 inches deep, 2 feet deep, well south of the existing rock wall and away from existing clearing. You'll see the clearing line on the Walbert survey. And so the intent is, and these things are flexible, such that we should be able to avoid any harm to any existing large trees.
Well, thank you.
The answer is yes, we won't harm.
Yeah, thank you, Drew. And Eleni zoomed in kind of for us, so we can actually see what you're discussing there with your memory. Good memory there. Thank you, Drew. Any other questions? Board members, no? Okay, now we have Mike Shiano, I believe,
Yes.
next.
Yep.
Good evening. Good evening, Michael. If you introduce yourself, and then I'll swear you in, please.
Sure. Michael Shiano from InterScience in Southampton, 36 Newton Street, on behalf of the applicant.
Okay, good evening, Michael. And Michael, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
In order to complete the proposed work, some of the areas of the property need to be cleared that are less than 100 feet away from wetlands. The total area of this clearing, less than 100 feet from wetlands, is 1,462 square feet. And most of this area is actually east of the cottage that is going to be renovated. To mitigate that clearing, we're proposing to plant 3,051 square feet of native vegetation around the property, which is increasing the amount of vegetation less than 100 feet from wetland by over 2 times. The areas of revegetation are shown in light green on the survey, and based on the comments from the DEC, some of these areas of revegetation have been proposed to create a habitat corridor between the western wetlands of number 4, which are just to the southwest of the barn building, over to the eastern wetlands of number 2 and number 3. Some of this revegetation will also tighten up the existing clearing that's to the south of the barn and to the south of the cottage, as the board member Johan has mentioned when he was showing us the photograph. A detailed revegetation plan was prepared by Summerhill Landscapes, which provides an extensive list of native plants, all in accordance with the TAM from the planning department. There is other site clearing proposed that's greater than 100 feet away from the wetlands. As Drew mentioned, this is all to provide access to different parts of the property and make sure that people can get around a little bit easier than what is currently existing. The final clearing that will be on site is there is a slight increase of total clearing on site, but all of that additional clearing is really more than 100 feet away, but it still complies with the zoning requirements. So we're proposing 30,943 square feet of clearing, where 54,409 square feet of clearing is allowed. Again, this is over 4-acre parcel, so that sounds like a lot, but when taken into context, it is not. Also, per the comments of the planning department, the most recent submission included a proposed scenic easement around all on-site wetlands, and also provides buffer areas where they are available. And a project limiting fence is now shown on the site plan, which will also serve as sediment control fencing per one of the recommended project conditions from the planning department's TAM. We believe that by tightening up the limits of clearing, proposing native vegetation, and the proposed scenic easement, we are thoroughly mitigating any potential environmental impacts that the proposed project will have. All of these are also in keeping with the purpose of the natural resources protection requirements that's in the town code. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. And thank you again, Michael, for keeping it succinct. We appreciate that. I don't have any questions. Board members, any questions for Michael?
No.
Nope.
Okay. And then, so Karen, that's it on your consultants, correct?
Yes, that's it on our consultant.
Great. Okay, thank you. We'll move along now. We'll hear from the planning department. Eleni, good evening.
Evening, Eleni Nikolopoulos for the planning department.
Thanks, Eleni, for your work on this and others. I'll swear you in now. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, so I believe the applicants have summed this up very well. So I'll keep it brief. We will say that this parcel does contain extensive high-quality freshwater wetlands, and the planning department does consider these wetlands to be of extreme importance. The engineer did speak of the drainage that they are proposing, which is something that is very important on this parcel, considering the proximity to the wetlands. Overall, the planning department has worked with this applicant, and they do appear to be offering appropriate mitigation for the proposed improvements, especially noting the scenic easement, which is roughly 120,000 square feet that they've agreed to protect these wetlands. I'll say that all the current structures on this parcel are legally existing. The most recent CO was issued actually, I think it's the only CO was issued in 2017. So everything is, the structures were considered to be pre-existing non-conforming and are legally existing. The proposed sanitary upgrade will be of great benefit. We do have the current sanitary system at 23.3 feet from the wetlands. So moving it back, there is room to move it to beat that 150-foot setback. However, clearing would have been needed, and it would have been in an area that there would need to be clearing and regrading. And so placing it in the already cleared area does appear to be the most conforming location on the lot. Yeah, we'll just note that the mitigation that has been proposed does appear to be appropriate for the proposed improvements. If the board has any questions.
Thank you, Eleni. Ed, any questions? Starting with you.
No, I don't. I think we've gotten a pretty good presentation from River.
Yeah. Board members, questions? No?
I don't know. No, I think it was a great presentation. Eleni had a sketch, though, with a better rendering of the scenic easement. Could you just show us that?
Yeah, that's a good idea, Terry.
Let me pull that up for you.
There we go.
Yeah, just to show the extent of the scenic easement. It's quite substantial. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, Chad. It's good to put it in scale, obviously. Eleni, thank you for all your work on this application. Let's see, Michael at LTV, do we have any public comment?
No, Chair. There two consultants are the only two people on hold. That's it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Then I guess we're ready, Ed, to close out the public portion of this hearing?
Yeah, can I just ask counsel, am I closing the public hearing and leaving the record open till when?
2 weeks after the transcript posts.
Okay, that's all. I just wanted to make sure because we.
Yep.
Okay. In the matter of Edward Albee Foundation, 91 Fairview Avenue, Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-016-02-22, I make a motion to close the public hearing this time, but leave the public record open till 2 weeks after the what? I'm sorry, the record has been posted.
The transcript post.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
That's okay. Do we have a second?
Okay, I'll second that.
And I'll concur.
And I concur. And Ed, thanks again for your focus on this. And good evening to all of you. Karen, I think we'll be seeing you, but good evening to others who we will not. So we will move on next to our next public hearing of the evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, Michael. The next applicant is 188 OMH LLC, and the lot size and location, 32,177 square feet to deed line, 188 Montauk Highway, Montauk tax map number 300-87-3-20. Description: to demolish the existing 1- and 2-story residence and construct a 2-story 2,400.
Let me kind of direct people. I think.
Hold on a second. Someone's making noise there. Pardon me.
You're going to stay in the same seat, right? Karen? Yeah.
Karen, you should shut your mic off or mute or something, please. Where was I?
Go ahead, Chair. Sorry about that.
Okay, I know. Okay, I'll start over with the description here. to demolish the existing 1- and 2-story residence and construct a 2-story 2,408 square foot gross floor area residence with 636 square feet of decking, 506 square foot swimming pool, 250 square feet of planters, 124 square foot path, 183 linear feet of pool fencing, outdoor shower, egress, window wells, and a sanitary system on a parcel of land containing bluffs, beach vegetation, and beaches. The relief sought is a natural resources special permit pursuant to 255-4-20 and 8 variances from 255-4-4 coastal setbacks. 1 variance from 255-11-10 dimensional regulations of the town code are required for this project. Variances of 10.5 feet, 9.5 feet, 24 feet, 20 feet, 24 feet, 14.5 feet, 37 feet, and 39 feet at the closest to construct the decking, light well, outdoor shower, pavers, swimming pool, planters, drainage, structures, and pool fencing 114.5 feet, 115.5 feet, 101 feet, 105 feet, 101 feet, 110.5 feet, 85 feet, and 86 feet respectively, where 125 feet is required. 1 variance of 6 feet is required to construct a pool decking 14 feet from the side yard west lot line, where 20 feet is required, and any other relief necessary from the East Hampton Town Code. This is in a residence zoning district. Flood zone here is X, secret class is type 2. And council, do we have a proper affidavit of service and posting?
We have an affidavit that the mailings were done on the 9th and the 10th day of September, and that the posting was done on the 9th day of September. So the paperwork appears to be in order.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy Lynn. And I believe this is in Board Member Berger's Montauk District. Terry, your field report, please.
Right. Tyler has the photos. Okay, this is at the top on Old Montauk Highway, at the top of the driveway. You'll see there's a very steep, narrow driveway that runs down to the house. Next, I took a couple of shots to show the grade and this, this very steep grading going down. And in the very far distance, you can see the ocean down there. It was a bright day, so some of the photos got a little funny. Next, it's another shot of that same driveway, give you an idea for how steep it is. Now, this is down at the parking area in front of the house. It was noticed there also. And to the left of that, through that shrubbery, and I think there's another photo that'll show it, there is a house farther up between this house and Old Montauk Highway. Next. Okay, that's the next photo. And it does show the house that's up higher on the bluff than the applicant's home. So nearest neighbor. Next. Now this is the back of the applicant's home that is going to be proposed to be demolished and redone. Next. Now this is a shot I just turned. I'm still in the parking area above, and this is the house at 184 next door to this applicant's home, and that was the one that they reference in that was approved by this board to be redeveloped. I forget if it was in 2018 or 2019, a few years ago, and that's just a shot of that from the top of it. And next. Now this is, I walked to the east side of the existing home, and this is a shot down that side of that. And then next, now I took this, there are a number of these plans, I guess, mounted on the side. You can see this one says seaward face of the proposed house, second floor. They had a number of these that I thought would be helpful to the board to see. And some of them I couldn't quite read. I know Tyler has some other photos that the applicant also submitted that showed similar things. So this is on the east end of the house. Next. And now I turned around because there was another one of these posted showing I believe it said the landward side of the proposed house, second floor. Next. And that was another posting showing the I guess, framed layout or planned. And that says second floor. Well, okay. Then down along the side. And now there are other photos in the information that we received that might be more legible than those. Next, I'm going to walk down to the front of the house. And another one of these noting the seaward facing side of the proposed pool in relation to the existing house now, below 6 foot below grade. So next, I'm going to continue to the front of the house where the decking is. Now I'm standing on the edge of the current decking and taking a shot down to the construction fencing that's up for the protection, just to give you an idea of the view from the existing deck today, the end of the existing decking. Next. It's just another shot, a little shooting southwest, and you can get a glimpse of what I believe is the access from the property next door at 184 and all the vegetation in front of 184 and the current house, 188. Next. That's another shot of the 188, and in there, well, there will be another one that shows kind of where the proposed beach access path is. You'll see there's a space in between some of the fencing that's up for the protection. Next. Now, I walk to the edge of the property on the west side now of the house. There was a lot of sun glare, so I took it from this direction, just shooting across the current house and give you an idea for this. This is the decking at the end of the current house as it exists today. Next. Now I just turned around from that location, and this is a shot of the house at 184 that was redeveloped recently. And to give you a better idea for that, and then the house farther west of property. Just give you a better idea of that. Next. And it's another shot of 184, the lower level and patio area adjacent to the current home. Next. Okay, that's an access path. Again, I think this path is the one that's related with the house next door at 184. And next. Okay, I'm going to go back one. Okay. I may have that wrong. So this may be the path as the kind of laid out for the current house at 188 with the fencing here that you can see. Okay, next. And this is the current stairs that exist coming down the east side of this home down toward the path that leads to the water, to the beach. Next. And it's another shot of the area for the proposed walkway for this house. Next. And that's just the closest shot in general in that southwesterly direction. Next. Now I'm back at the driveway, and you can see in the distance there over the stockade fence behind that, that's another existing neighbor to the homeowner. And you can see where the driveway just starts grading back up to the road. Next. That might be it. And it's just another shot of the vegetation and the beach area. Give you an idea of that. And next, another shot going up toward the driveway toward the road. I believe that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Terry. Board members, any questions on the field report? No? Okay. Okay, thanks again, Terry. So let's move on to the applicants and the applicant's agent. Let's see. Karen,
Yes.
I see a room full of familiar faces there. Nice to see you all again. You probably heard in the previous meeting that we're trying to keep things moving here. So we will have Karen and whatever, there's a 10-minute portion to speak, and then we ask all the consultants try to keep their comments to 3 minutes. And if you're not an attorney, I will swear you in before you speak after you introduce yourself. So thank you again. Karen, go ahead, please, if you're starting off here.
Sure, yes, I am. Good evening again, board members. Karen Hogue from Timmy Latham on behalf of the applicant. As you can see, I have several people with me tonight to speak on behalf of the applicant, so I will be brief. Last week, we had submitted some additional documents and plans to address comments made in the TAM prepared by planner Mike Delalio. Specifically, a landscape plan was submitted by Grimes Landscaping, aerial overlays showing existing and proposed conditions prepared by InterScience, cross sections, and a site mock-up by Bates Massey, and a report prepared by Dr. Wisher of the Woods Hole Group, and a memo of law addressing the variance and NRSP standards. As part of that memo, we also submitted a copy of a letter in support from the neighbor to the north, which board member Berger referred to in her photographs. With me tonight to speak on behalf of the application and answer any questions are the following people. We have Aaron Weil from Bates Massey, Vin Gordiello from the Rayner Group, Dr. Lee Wisher from the Woods Hole Group, who will be speaking by telephone conference. We also have Jim Grimes from Grimes Landscaping and Jim Kim of Men of Work, the builder who built 184 Old Montauk Highway. This project team is composed of the same members that were involved in the adjacent project to the west at 184 Old Montauk Highway. And the owner of 188 Old Montauk Highway is the same principal as the adjacent parcel. The house at 184 has been successfully completed and in March of 2021 received a CO from the town. The ZBA determination on that matter and a copy of the CO has been provided to the board with the recent submittals. If I could now turn to Aaron Weil at Bates Massey, who can talk a little bit about the design and also address some of the comments by board member Berger regarding the site mock-up.
Good evening.
Okay, good evening. Good evening, Aaron. If you introduce yourself for the record, and I will swear you in, please.
Aaron Weil of Bates Massey Architects.
And the address, if you please.
157, or excuse me, 132 North Main Street, East Hampton.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. Good evening. Aaron, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thanks. Go ahead, please.
Could I ask Tyler to bring up document ZBA 4? So as Karen was pointing out, the project team is the same that completed 184 recently, and that document ZBA 4 has some photos, more photos of the existing and previous house at 184. I'd just like to point out that whereas the existing structure was very tall and overlooking the bluff, the new structure is further landward and follows the slope, tapering and stepping back as it rises to better fit the surroundings. As Karen pointed out, it was approved in 2017 by this board, and as I understand it from the builder, the comments throughout construction from the planning department's inspector were positive.
Is that, pardon me, Aaron, is that the image you want that says ZBA 3? I'm not sure if that's what you wanted. You wanted ZBA 4, I think?
Sorry.
Or it was, yeah, there we go.
There we go. That's what you wanted. Okay, go ahead, Aaron.
Yes, as I was saying, the top row is the previous house, the bottom row is the new house there. And as you can see, the difference in the massing and scale of the house, how it's stepped back in the new version. And that same approach by the same team will be followed in 188. I'd also like to point out that throughout the construction of 184, the project remained in the good graces of the neighbors. To the extent that the neighbor at 186 Old Montauk Highway, immediately behind 188, who will be most impacted by the construction of it, he has provided a letter in support of our proposal. If I could get ZBA 1, the document ZBA 1, please. The
Same, as I said, the same protocols and goals that made 184 a success will be followed in this project. We'll be replacing a large non-conforming house that is very upright over the bluff with a smaller conforming house set significantly landward of the existing one.
Tyler, pardon me, Tyler, can you get that CBA one by
Yeah,
any chance?
I'm looking for it.
Okay.
Is there like a description of what it is?
It's it's a combined document with CBA 1, 2, and 3. It's the it's called it's a cross section.
That's 3. That's 3.
Proposed.
You're looking for ZBA 1, right, Aaron?
Yeah. Existing versus proposed.
It was last dated July 27th.
Yeah, there's a lot of files in here. It's going to take me a moment.
Well, Aaron, while he finds it, do you want to discuss this image for us? Or?
Yeah, sure. This is the site mock-up that Board Member Berger was mentioning. The diagram on the top puts it in context. The red diagram, the red silhouette is the existing house at 188. The dark gray is the proposed house. You can see how much further landward it is set, and that the blue is the actual structure that was built on the side of the existing house to highlight how much further back, and the fact that the roof will actually be lower than the existing house there. There we go.
There we go. Thank you, Tyler.
Yes, thank you so much. On the upper half of this diagram, again, the red represents the existing house, dark gray the proposed, and the dark green is the 1993 application that the former owner proposed for a pool on this property. As you can see, the proposed house is well landward of the existing. I think it's a 41-foot retreat. This is as far back as possible while still allowing for the septic system to be relocated from the seaward side of the house, where it's actually seaward of the toe of bluff, to a conforming and much more environmentally friendly location landward of the house. As the civil engineer will cover, the proposed system will be a low nitrogen system, and it has received health department approval. The proposed house was intentionally kept quite small compared to what's allowable and what's existing, which is a significant sacrifice given the value of the property. We're not seeking any variances for the house itself. The allowable GFA is 3,151 square feet. The existing is 3,241, and we're only proposing 2,408 square feet of GFA. Similarly, the proposed lot coverage, building coverage, and clearing are all well below the existing numbers. The lower diagram on this drawing shows the size of the proposed house in gray in relation to the completed and approved house on 184. We kept the house small because it's important to the owner that the improvements include a pool. Looking in green at that proposed pool on the upper half of this drawing, that it's indicated in green to highlight that the pool was, we are currently proposing is 52-foot landward from the 1993 application and substantially smaller, 13 foot 4 inches wide as opposed to 18 feet. Most importantly, as you can see, the proposed pool is well within the footprint of the existing house that will be demolished. So no additional clearing is necessary for the pool. It will literally be within the excavation for the demolition of the existing house. And whereas leaks are common in a typical gunite pool, we're proposing a prefabricated stainless steel pool that will be craned into place and will not therefore leach water or leak water the way a typical pool might, thus helping to protect the bluff. Could I ask for document ZBA 2, please? Thank you. This again compares the size of 188 on the right to what was approved for 184. And then finally on document ZBA 3, if you could please bring that up. Oh, we've covered this. This is the site mock-up we've already covered. So that the Rayner Group created a detailed construction protocol report to help us implement the proposed project with minimal disturbance. So I will let Vin of the Rayner Group describe that in more detail.
Okay, great. Thanks, Aaron. Now, so we let you use up a lot of, Karen's time and your time alone. So if the others can keep it succinct, we'd appreciate it. We thank you for your thorough submissions, and we certainly read them all. So go ahead, Vincent. Go ahead, please. Good evening. Or I'll swear you in. Introduce yourself, please, and I'll swear you in, Vincent.
Good evening. My name is Vincent A. Gaudiello. I'm a principal with the Rayner Group. We have been retained by the owners to perform the land surveying and civil engineering services related to this project.
Okay, thank you, Vin. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, so in addition to the actual survey and civil site engineering that you see on this site plan, we were also the ones who have prepared the construction protocol report. The construction protocol report was prepared in a manner to serve as a guide in the means and methodologies in how this residence would be constructed. With respect to the report was prepared in response to the comments by the planning staff dated October 30th, 2020, in this report is a detailed construction timeline, an outline of the temporary shoring and stabilization of the buff that will occur during construction, cut and fill calculations, existing and proposed grading, the staging and stockpiling of both equipment, materials, and construction activities through the course of construction, the stormwater management plan, which in this report, it outlines the grading and drainage design associated with the improvements on the property. In addition to that, in the report consists of an erosion and sediment control plan and the means to address the potential for erosion and surface water runoff. Other than getting into the design, we've got a innovative alternative on-site wastewater treatment system that is proposed for this residence. The existing sanitary system, which currently lies seaward of the toe of the bluff, would be abandoned, and a new, as I said, IA system proposed, and that IA system would be on the north side of the house. So even, I want to guess probably 200 feet north of where it exists today. In the report is a detailed timeline of construction, which outlines the various steps and segments of how this project would be built. Because of some of the constraints that we have and the lack of circulation that we have around the site, we have laid out a timeline and a sequence for the various items of work specific to this project that would not technically or more or less be implemented on a site that had less constraints. Our estimated timeline for construction for this project is 16 months. And as far as what's involved with the export and import of soils, we are proposing to export approximately 2,200 cubic yards of material. And in turn, when the site is to be restored, come back with 200 cubic yards to fine grade. So there's a total balanced export of about 2,000 yards. If there are any other specific questions regarding the protocol report, I'd gladly respond to the board or the planning staff. But as I'm trying to be short and sweet of what's in the report and what we provided to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Vin. I have no questions. Terry, questions? Terry, you might be on mute.
I don't have questions at this time.
Okay. Any other board member with a question?
No, not at this time, John.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Karen, we'll move on to your next consultant.
Yes, if you can Mike, if you can let Dr. Wisher in from the Woods Hole Group, he should be on the phone.
Yes, I see that here. I'll unmute his call right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Lee Wisher. It's spelled W-E-I-S-H-A-R, and I'm from the Woods Hole Group located in Bourne, Massachusetts.
Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and swear you in, if you please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Great. Good evening, and go ahead, please.
Well, good evening. As I said, I'm from the Woods Hole Group. I'm a senior scientist there at the company and a professional wetland scientist. I was engaged to look at this project in all aspects to see if it was going to have an impact on the stability of the landform. And so I'll keep my comments very brief because you have my written report and because we're on a limited time frame. I performed a site visit on May 24th of this year. I had the opportunity to view both 188 and 184 properties. Additionally, I have reviewed the plans for the house and the landscaping plan and the construction protocols. I'll give you just kind of a very, very brief summary of my observations. You know, as the proposed project to demolish the existing house, and as you heard, the house will be landward of the existing house, the proposed house. It will have a smaller residential footprint, be reduced in overall size, will have a lower profile than the existing house, will be shifted a little, approximately 40 feet landward. There will be no disturbance seaward of the existing house, and the proposed pool will be contained entirely within the existing footprint of the existing house and require no additional excavation. The proposed landscaping plan will remove invasive species and will replant the excavated and regraded areas with native plants. These steps will recharge the rainwater and will eliminate any potential runoff-induced erosion from the property. It's my opinion that the proposed project will improve the overall, will be an improvement over the existing house because it moves the house landward. There's no additional excavation seaward of the existing house and removes the septic system that is presently in the flood zone and installs an IA system which will be landward of the proposed house, thus removing it from the flood zone. Additionally, if we use the recently constructed house at 184 as a template, during the site visit I observed no evidence of runoff-induced erosion at that property, and similar landscaping will be installed as part of the proposed project and will produce similar results. And therefore, it's my conclusion, the proposed project will have no effect on the stability of the landform and overall will be an improvement to the existing property. And I apologize for being very brief, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if any of the board members have some. Thank you.
Thank you. No, you get bonus points for being brief on this board, so thank you. And we appreciate your comments and your submission. So I have no questions. Terry, any questions?
Nah, well, I'm curious about the removal of the invasives. You'll be isolating those so they do not get associated with
Jim Grimes will be addressing that in detail. I believe he's the next presenter.
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions from board members?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir, and have a good evening. And Jim, are you next on deck? Yeah, thank you. Jim, are you next on the team?
Yes.
Great, thanks. Introduce yourself first, Jim, and I'll swear you in. Thank you.
James C. Grimes from James C. Grimes Land Design, Inc. in Montauk.
Thank you. And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Great, thanks, Jim. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I think most of this board is familiar with the process that 184 went through and the landscape plan that was prepared by our firm for that. The existing conditions on this site are almost identical to 184 in that presently the site is dominated mostly with non-native invasives in the form of bamboo on the east side, some patches of Japanese knotweed in the same area. The toe of the bluff is dominated by tartan honeysuckle, autumn olive, and until recently, Japanese black pine. I think in most of the photos that Teresa took, you saw that the Japanese black pine are mostly absent. In the time period through the permitting process of 184 and the development of that property, most of those trees succumbed to the pine bark beetle, which, as everybody sure knows, has been a long-standing issue with those plants. For 188, we are proposing the identical plant matrix that was used on 184, with the exception of the Juniperus torolosa, are all native plants which would be consistently found in this area if it hadn't been developed. So what we really are doing here, folks, is both of these properties were developed sometime in the mid-late 60s originally. And when they were extensively planted with autumn olive and Japanese black pine. Over the years, you saw some of these other invasives move into these properties. What we're looking to do here is exactly what we did on 184, is turn the clock back to the pre-1960s and try and reestablish these properties in a manner that we may have seen them before their original development.
Well, thank you, Jim. And thank you for your submissions.
And Teresa, I think
Terry, go ahead. You can address that if you would, please.
Yeah, Teresa, you had a question. Maybe you could repeat the question about the invasives.
Well, in removing the invasives, I was concerned about that they would get intermingled with other good plants, basically.
Well, I mean, what's going to happen here, and very much like 184, the extensive excavation and the sheet piling process, we basically are going to remove any of that non-native invasive vegetation to include the root systems. Those materials will be removed from the site and disposed of properly. When it comes time to replant this site, much like 184, we actually prepared and engineered a soil mix that would have been consistent with the natural soils on the site, that was clean and devoid of any non-native propagule material. The idea of using the existing soils on the site, which, by the way, these are not natural soils for the most part. These were imported soils from back in the 60s. What we're really going to be doing is basically going in and surgically removing the materials starting along the east side. And some of the materials, actually, the invasives along the southerly portion of this property, were removed as part of the operations on 184.
Thank you, Jim. That's an interesting point about the previous construction and the soil being imported. Terry, another question or any other board members for Jim?
Not regarding the planting, no.
I have one. Jim, when you were doing 184, and I have to say it's impressive to see the finished product there. So you have a full-scale model now for us to use as a reference when judging this. But did you have to remove on that site bamboo or knotweed? Did you have the same problem you're going to have?
Yes, we did. Actually, on 184, the bamboo was found on the west side of the property. We for the most part removed it along that west line, due to the fact that the neighboring property's landscape is kind of intermingled with that. There were limits to how much of that bamboo we could really remove, but we've been able to, over the last year, through a process of aggressive cutting and hand removal, we've actually been able to get everything within that 184 footprint, the bamboo under control.
And you'll have a similar problem with 188 to the east, because you're going to be over the property line. I think you're pretty
well. No, actually, what's interesting over there is that bamboo, we'll be getting most of it. Now, there's a point where we're going to be working, like you said, Ed, right up to the property line. Right. So what we might propose there is the installation of a root barrier along that edge to control it. We didn't really have that option on 184 simply because we had kept a lot of the existing vegetation, the native vegetation along that west side. Yeah. And it really was going to be detrimental to that material to try and install a root barrier. We don't have that kind of encumbrance on 188 because there's virtually nothing native left on that property. with the exception of the stuff down past the toe. And like I said, when we were doing 184, we did stray over into 188 because we had quite a few black pines that had died off. We had a big patch of Rosa multiflora that kind of spanned both properties, and subsequently we actually revegetated those areas already.
All right, thanks, Jim.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Thank you, Ed. Any other questions, board members? Okay, let's see. Karen, do you have anyone else there on the team that has yet to speak?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you all. We appreciate your comments. We'll go now to the stick around in case there's any other questions, please. I'm sure you will. We'll move on to the planning department. Tyler?
Good evening, Tyler Borsak for the planning department once again.
Thanks, Tyler. Go ahead, please. Good evening.
Sure, thank you. So the subject property is located along the ocean front within the Hither Hills section of Montauk, and it's located on Old Montauk Highway. This area is the only location in town where coastal setbacks and lot areas are measured from the base or the toe of the bluff instead of from the bluff crest or the dune crest. This property is landlocked with an access easement through lots that front on Old Montauk Highway and is one of the more suddenly located improved properties in the area. The parcel is currently in front of the ZBA requesting approval to demolish the existing residence and construct an approximately 2,400 square foot two-story residence with decking, a swimming pool, planters, a pathway, pool fencing, an outdoor shower, a sanitary system, and other associated structures on a parcel of land that contains bluffs, beach vegetation, and beaches. The application proposes to demolish the existing residence and construct the new residence, pool, and appurtenances more landward than the existing residence. The area where the current residence is located will be regraded and then revegetated based on the proposed site plan received. No other regrading is proposed with this project. In this application, the residence and portions of the decking are conforming to bluff toe setbacks, while the swimming pool, light well, pavers, outdoor showers, planters, drainage structures, pool fencing, and pathway proposed on the site plan are not conforming to those setbacks. The board should examine this application to ensure that it is in keeping with similar applications in the immediate vicinity, most notably the parcel immediately to the west at 184 Old Montauk Highway, which is obviously very close, and B, is the most recent application to draw from in this area. Like 184 Old Montauk Highway application, this application is proposing to export a total of about 2,000 cubic yards of material in order to construct the improvements. And in both applications, a shoring system is being utilized to stabilize that site during construction, which did seem to function quite well during the construction of the neighboring parcel. It's important to note that a previous application was made to the board for a swimming pool on this lot. That application required setback variances to locate the 580 square foot pool 10 and 12 feet from the west and eastern property lines, respectively, and 61 feet from the bluff toe. That application was denied in the board's determination filed in 1993. In their determination, the board found that, quote, the pool and deck must be built on the sloping side of an oceanfront bluff, which, though well vegetated at the present time, is inherently erodible and precarious natural feature. It is evident that a pool is a luxury, or at least a convenience, not an economic necessity, and that not all lots are appropriate for pools. The applicant's case that they have a 35,000 square foot lot, less than the minimum area required in the A residence zone, of which the bulk of is ocean, beach, and bluff. A parcel less suitable for a swimming pool can scarcely be imagined, end quote. In light of the board's previous denial, the planning department recommends caution in discussing the variances requested. The applicant should make every effort to meet the setback and any proposed redevelopment, removing the pool and associated clearing. As noted in the previous denial, construction on the bluff face is inherently precarious and erodible. Sound reasoning should be presented as to why the board should reverse a similar determination by the board in 1993. The planning department was unable to identify any swimming pools constructed along the stretch of Old Montauk Highway that received relief from this board to be constructed within setbacks to compare determinations. Most swimming pools have been approved to be constructed by the board since the institution of Natural Resource Special Permit regulations in 1984 were cited so that they did not need variances. or we're reconstructing ones that already existed. Since the previous application for a pool on this lot, bluff toe setbacks have increased from 100 to 125 feet, indicating the erosive nature of the bluff face. The planning department recommends a scenic easement seaward of the southernmost clearing boundary as mitigation for this project. If it's approved, the scenic easement should allow for pedestrian access to the ocean. And as sort of to note the runoff, the runoff issues and the stability of this bluff, the fact that the area is stable and shows little sign of runoff issues currently is a testament to the conservation measures taken by the town and the zoning board, and the history that the board has with approving appropriate development and denying inappropriate development in this sensitive area. But other than that, I can answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you, Tyler, and thanks for your work on this application. Appreciate that. Start off with Terry. Any questions for Tyler?
Tyler, yeah, regarding the pool, it is a concern of mine and the precedent that this could potentially set. And clearly the statement from 1993 by the zoning board was a pretty strong statement. And the addition that the setbacks are now 125 feet. In this, they setback for the pool and the pool code fencing or what? Is that the 24 feet or the 37 and the 39?
As far as what the variance
For the
requires?
pool, yeah, the variances are. We don't have a survey here, right? We have the site plan.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, it's by surveyors.
Well, this is right. It's 110 feet. If you zoom out, go out a little bit, we can see some of those setbacks. Yeah, I see 101.1 looks like it's from the pool.
Correct.
125.4 to the house, to the residence, I believe.
The pool fencing would be 86 feet.
Tyler, this is just, if I could interject for a second, Terry, but before I forget, Karen, when you come back to speak, I wonder if you address if there's been any conversation about a scenic easement from the proposed limit of clearing line when you come back to comment. But otherwise, I don't have any other questions for Tyler right now myself. Board members?
I have no questions.
I still think you'd have to reiterate that it's already.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Tyler. Now, LTV, do we have any callers on the line?
Yes, Chair. I have one caller I can admit if you'd like.
Thank you. Please do.
Sure. The caller's phone ends in 5579. I'll unmute that caller now.
Well, this is Rick. It's 110 feet. If you zoom out.
Excuse me, caller. With your phone ending in 5579, there's an echo. If you could mute your playback in your room, please.
One looks like it's the pool. Correct. 125.1. Okay.
I'm going to mute that caller for a moment.
Yeah, mute that call until they.
I can go back in 5 seconds if you want me to try again or to wait a little bit.
Yeah, and if that caller's listening, the caller, you have to shut off your television, please, or whatever that is we're hearing. Do we have another caller we can go to?
No, Chair, that's the only one. That's the only one.
All right, let's try again, though.
All right, I'll go back to that caller. One moment.
When you come back to comment.
Excuse me, caller with the phone number ending in 5579. Are you calling in for this application?
Yeah, please shut off your television, sir. We can't hear you.
Chair, I'm going to mute them as they're not commenting. I would imagine they're waiting for the last application.
Okay, geez. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Let's see. Karen, a quick comment. Karen, do you, I would like to hear if there's been any conversation with the applicant on that scenic easement.
No, I have not had any conversation with him regarding the scenic easement, but I can certainly do so. One thing I wanted to point out to the board is on the aerial overlay analysis that we had submitted showing the 184 approved against 188 proposed.
Yeah.
you can see where the proposed pool, the pool deck and the house, well, especially the proposed pool deck and the pool sit within the existing footprint of the existing house. So I thought that that was an important overlay for the board to take a look at. And you can also see where the proposed pool and pool deck is in relationship to the 184 application. Yes, that's the aerial overlay. So I think that that's an important point. And in terms of the scenic easement, we are doing an extensive revegetation plan, and it's something I can certainly talk to the owner about.
Okay, thank you. And if you need more time, we could, the record will be open, as you know, Karen, for 2 weeks after the transcript is posted. So,
Yeah,
okay, thank you for that.
I think that is important, considering that there are no other pools that are in this situation.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously at 184, there's not a pool, but we understand your point, Karen, but
and anywhere
I think
else.
the whole board feels that's important, I'm sure.
Sure. So can I just ask for clarification on where the scenic easement is that the board would like to see?
Well, the planning department was mentioning, which I think is a fine idea, is from the proposed limits of clearing seaward. I can't imagine what you would want to do to disturb that area anyway, myself. Do you see the proposed limits of clearing line there, Karen?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And again, in Tyler, in the scenic easement, obviously the walkway would remain, the footpath.
Sure. So I can check with the owner and submit something in writing to the board.
Great. Thank you. Is that Tyler? Very good, Tyler. That's kind of what.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, thank you, Karen. We look forward to hearing about that. Otherwise, Terry, would you like to close out the public portion of this hearing, please?
Excuse me, Chair. I'm sorry to interrupt. We do have a new caller.
All right. They got in by the
I just want to say,
go ahead.
I'm just going to make a quick announcement. It has the same last name as the previous caller, so if this person is listening to me, please make sure that the broadcast in your room is off and that you're able to communicate with me when I unmute, which I'll do right now. Your phone ends in 1280. I'll unmute that caller now.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Margaret Roos Collins. I am one of the owners of the property immediately adjacent on the eastern side at 192 Old Montauk Highway. And
okay, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you. Hold on, please. I have to interrupt you. You introduced yourself. We appreciate that. If you're not an attorney, I have to swear you in.
Yes.
So, okay, so you're not an attorney. Then do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
We want to express support for the proposal. It will increase the privacy for both lots, which we very much appreciate. We have two concerns. One is there will now be condensers for the air conditioning compressors near the property line. So if there is a way to reduce the noise that comes from those compressors, we would very much appreciate the architects looking into that. We haven't had to deal with that before. And secondly, we have bamboo as a result of the prior owner's planting of bamboo around their house. And we're very thrilled this evening to hear about the plans to remove invasives, and want to put on the record that we would very much like to get involved in trying to work together to accomplish this so that it improves our invasive situation as well, because we want to get rid of them on our side of the line. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you for listening and participating. We appreciate it. LTV, any other callers?
No, they're not.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you all. Terry, would you like to close
John,
this out for the public portion?
John, can I interrupt for a second?
Sure, I'm sorry.
I do have a question before we close this.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. In light of the 1993 comments by that board, it's hard to imagine a more forceful denial relative to a pool. And I understand how we're moving back and where it's going to. Now, I did not see a foundation print come with the submittal? Unless I've missed it, I went through what material we had. My concern now is if in asking for approval for a pool, and you know the potential obstacles here, creating precedent, and the fact that we have, we're always very cautious about anything that goes on the water side of one of these residences. I'm wondering what is the proposed method in which the stabilization of this, is this on pilings? Are they going to be on helical piles? What are we doing to ensure on behalf of the team that's putting together the proposal that we're stabilizing this pool? If it were to move towards approval, we'd want to know exactly what was happening structurally here. Now, I apologize if we have that foundation plan, but I did not see it.
Well, it doesn't, that's fine. It's a very good point. Let's go back to the architect on this. Aaron, you want to comment on that, please?
Yes, we're unmuted.
We are, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes, the foundations for the pool will be poured concrete, and the stainless steel vessel will sit within that. We have not discussed with the engineer a need for piles. It will be a substantial foundation tied in with the foundation of the house. So it's really going to be a contiguous poured concrete structure that will basically be a mat slab, essentially tying the whole assembly together. So the chances of it shifting away from the house or moving are impossible, in that it will be contiguous with it. So I do not believe piles will be necessary, but we have consulted with an engineer and will continue to do so. And I don't think it will be necessary.
Thank you, Aaron. And I believe some of those sections and the plans are probably in the large submissions that you submitted, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. And Ed, thank you for that. And anything else, Ed? Go ahead.
One more thing. Can I get a clarification? You're saying that the mat then will extend from below the structure out to include the pool area and where the pool is to be mounted. That's going to be one contiguous pour. Is that correct?
The side walls will be contiguous and will tie the structure back. There will be a break in the actual slab between the house and the pool, but on either side there's a access way to the lower level, and the retaining walls around those access ways will tie the pool structure, the foundation around the pool structure, back to the house structure.
Okay, I'll look forward to looking at those sections. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Any other questions, board members, before Terry closes that? No? Okay, thank you all. Terry, if you would, please.
Yes, for the application of 188 OMH LLC at 188 Old Montauk Highway in Montauk, tax map 300-87-3-20. Make a motion to close the public hearing, to leave the public record open for a period of time for till 2 weeks after the transcript of this hearing is posted. I do have a question if Karen, in checking regarding the scenic easement, if she needs more time on that, or.
Yeah, I'd mentioned she can always request if you need
is good.
Yep.
Sure. I don't think I'll need additional time, but so I will ask for it.
Okay, then that's the motion that stands.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it. Tim, you're muted.
Sorry, I concur.
Thank you, Tim, and I concur as well. Thank you, Tyler, for your work on this, and Terry and team, thank you all for your submissions and your work, and have a good evening, you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Okay, we will move on to our next public hearing for the evening. And the applicant here is Hispaniola Trust. And the lot size and location is 61,357 square feet at 9 Shipwreck Drive, Ocean Estates, map number 7001, Amagansett, tax map number 300-152-2-8.36. Description: to construct a 196 square foot pool house and a 380 square foot garage, and to move an existing shed to a more conforming location, and to upgrade a sanitary system, and to allow an existing outdoor shower and wood walkway to remain on a parcel of land containing beach vegetation and within 150 feet of wetlands. The relief sought is a natural resources special permit pursuant to 255 4-20 and any other relief necessary from the East Hampton Town Code. This is in an A2 residence zoning district, is A2 residence. The flood zones here are AE flood zone, elevation 9. And the secret class, there's a typo there. It says it's type 2. And council, do we have a proper affidavit of service and posting?
We have an affidavit that the mailings went out on the 9th day of September and that the posting went up on the 10th day of September. And as such, the paperwork appears to be in order.
Okay, thank you, Nancy Lynn. Okay, this is in my Amagansett district, and I did a field report. And Eleni, thank you for your help on this, getting the photos up. I'll mention this to any applicants, agents who may be listening, but when properties are posted, any zoning board member has permission to visit the site before the public hearing, and many times, as in tonight, there's a gate and the gate is locked. So the applicants or their agents should be giving the planner or somebody a key, or a code or something. So fortunately, I was able to access the site, but I'll get to that later. So here we are out in front. It was properly posted here. This is a view towards the Montauk Highway just to show how close it is. And I note that when I came out, I drove along the property heading east on Montauk Highway, and it was posted again. I did not get out and take another photo though. Next photo, Eleni, please. This is looking the other direction on Shipwreck and sort of across just to show you there's a neighbor across the street there. And the driveway is on the bottom left of the photo here. The gravel you see. Next, please, Eleni. So here's looking in the driveway. I had temporarily parked. That's like the neighbor's cutoff there because that gate on the left was locked. That is the entrance up there. I was able to walk around to the right of the photo and the neighbors and kind of cut through the woods there, but you'll see it was a good walk. So next, please, Eleni. While I was there, I kind of cut through. I took a photo. This is looking towards the ocean from the backyard area. And you see that is just, I could have taken 6 like Ed. I wish I had his knowledge of this too, but this is beautiful, beautiful dune land that I must say. And there's some adjacent Peconic trust land, which is great, but it's really just spectacular dune land here. You see this one house in the distance at the cul-de-sac at the end of Shipwreck that you're seeing the roof line up, I believe. Next slide, please, Eleni. This is from that area. Looking back at the house appears quite small in this photo. It's actually quite large, as you will see. And later on, I want to mention also there's a wall on the left of the photo. It appears to be about 12 feet off the grade on the other side. So that's something we might want to take into account when the applicant, the agent or the applicant the height of that wall. But again, beautiful land back here that has not been disturbed. Next photo, please. And unfortunately, this portion of the land was disturbed. This is where the cottage, or there's some weights, it's like an exercise room, was built, I'll note, without a building permit or any approvals whatsoever. This structure was constructed, and Eleni will discuss that later too. And here we are looking towards the pool, and again, that wall in the far distance. Next, please, Eleni. Here I am panning to the right. You see on the upper left, that's the roof of this exercise building. I'm looking back at the house and this side of the yard here. Next, please, I think I continue to pan over to the right. No, that's just a quick shot of the pool area in the house to give you a sense of scale. Next, please. And then I did pan over to the right. And looking back in there was some sort of a play court, and that was an area that was previously to remain and was natural and has been disturbed, that we know about, that we all know about. Next, please. Here I walk back to that court, looking back at the house. You see the lawn that's there, and you can see it's not a small house when you get at this angle. Next, please. Another shot, just kind of looking at the other end of the house towards Montauk Highway. That would be kind of looking west, that photo, with Montauk Highway to the right side. Next, please, Eleni. This is a path that was on the right-hand side of that photo, the last photo. This is the path going along the side of the house that parallels Montauk Highway, the wood path that's noted. You can see there's some clearing that's gone on that looks to me like it was outside the clearing line on the survey, but that's a finer point we can deal with later. Next, please. Here we come around to the front, kind of the entry portion. And you see the vegetation there. That's a pool area in the back on the right, and that wall that I mentioned. Next, please. Then this is the building that they are proposing to have removed, and the walkways to it. You see that from your survey. Next, please, Melanie. Here's of the same building on the right. Looking back at the pool area, you can see I counted the boards up, and it appears to be almost 12 feet high. So that's something that we should keep in account with our deliberations as far as the architectural review board, et cetera, and proper permitting for that. Next, please. This is that wall on the left and the pool area in the back, looking back at the house. I believe that's a final shot, Eleni.
Yes, that's the last one.
Great. Thanks for your help on that, Eleni. Appreciate it. Okay, so let us go now. If you have any questions, board members, on the field report, take that as a no. Okay, thank you. So let's go to the applicant or the agent. I believe it's Liz Vale with us.
Yes, hi, good evening, board members. Liz Vale, Farrell Fritz, 50 Station Road, Watermill for the applicant. I'm here tonight with Billy Mack of First Coastal. He should be on the phone, as well as Clay Coffey, the architect, in connection with the application. As the chairman stated, we're here seeking a natural resources special permit for the property located at 9 Shipwreck Drive in Amagansett. Subject property is 1.4 acres or 61,357 square feet. As you saw, it's improved with a 2-story residence and house and the pool and accessory structures. Am I allowed to share my screen? Is that a possibility?
Eleni, does that work, Eleni?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Great.
Thank you.
Share screen.
Can everyone see the screen showing the survey?
Yes, thanks,
Oh,
Len.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So specifically, we're seeking approval to construct a 380 square foot garage, 100 feet. Let me just move this over so you can see better. 100 feet from the wetlands, which is right here. And this is the 100-foot distance over here. Along with a 196 square foot pool house on the other side, which is further away from the wetlands, but I need to amend the survey to show the distance for you. I think you would want that as well. We're seeking to move the existing shed, which I call the exercise little building, a shed from here, which you can't really see it on this particular survey. I don't know why it is here.
Yeah.
I think there's a notion to it. It was right here, and we're
It's right there.
seeking
Yeah.
over here to the proposed location, which is 107 feet from the wetlands. And as the chairman stated, we're seeking to get rid of or eliminate an existing shed right here. So we're also asking to allow the outdoor shower and wood walkway to remain. We do not require any variances in connection with the proposed structures, and we're seeking to install an upgraded low nitrogen septic system right up here. If you can see closer to Montauk Highway, where the driveway, underneath the driveway where it exists currently. And I was first retained sometime last March. And as soon as we reviewed the application, the main focus since then has been trying to eliminate the violations on site, including structures that are located in the easement area, and eliminating the grass by coming up with some sort of dune land or revegetation plan to make sure we restore the dune land vegetation that is so special about this area. However, we do have to have this board's approval of a planting plan before we proceed, and we would probably need a building permit to move the little shed with the exercise equipment in it to over here. But we have done some things. We removed the fence from the scenic easement area. We removed the garbage bins that were located near the wetlands. And that was close to the scenic easement area. We've also removed the play set from the easement area. I know the chairman showed you a picture. That was a huge playground set. And underneath it is actually the pad or some sort of material that was underneath the playground. We have removed the actual playground equipment from the scenic easement area, but we really should not move the mat or underneath equipment until we get some sort of approval or restoration plan, so that we do everything at once to avoid, any excess disturbance or unnecessary disturbance. So we're willing, as I stated, to put in an upgraded low nitrogen septic system for the entire house and the pool. To do this, we have to remove the traditional septic system. And I just wanted to show you where the traditional septic system is actually located on this property. It's right here where the grass is planted, where the fertilized grass is existing. And I mean, it's been there. The fertilized grass has probably been there since at least 2004, according to the aerials I found on GIS. Certainly well before the property owner owned this property, but it has to be restored pursuant to every prior approval of this board and pursuant to the subdivision approval, which we fully intend to do. So that's where the septic system is existing, and we're seeking to put a proposed low nitrogen system over here, closer to Montauk Highway, further away from the scenic easement area, further away from the duneland vegetation, which generally starts here, and the wetlands. Okay, we're also seeking to move the shed out, which was built, you're correct, without permits and needs to be permitted and moved to a conforming location, further away again from the scenic easement area. And we're seeking approval for those structures. So to do this, it actually requires, in order to avoid disturbance, we're trying to come up with a plan to do this in the most practicable way possible. And so we're proposing to first move the shed, the existing shed, out of the easement area, right, with the machine that we would probably need some sort of excavation machine to lift the shed and move it. Remove the fertilized grass area at that time, remove the old septic system from under the grass. Then we would be able to remove the playground mat and gravel that's remaining there, or whatever is remaining under that prior playground, and then propose to revegetate the area. Then we would seek to head to the other side of the property to build the pool house and garage, install the new septic, and eliminate the existing shed. So that would be sort of the protocol for how we would seek to proceed to avoid disturbance and sort of maximize the ability to restore everything at once and ensure compliance with prior approvals and the code and everything else. So it is all connected. We really don't have to replace the septic if we don't get approvals for the house and the pool. I mean, for the pool house and garage. The existing septic can remain. It's approved by the health department. It's approved in connection with the house. So there is a real environmental benefit to approving the application as a whole. The application will satisfy the NRSP standards. It will revegetate and preserve the natural duneland vegetation on site and protect the underground water supply by installing a new low nitrogen system. The nature of the use is in harmony with the purposes of the chapter. The pool house and garage are extremely common accessory structures in this neighborhood and throughout the town. The lot area is sufficient. The proposed lot coverage is 25%, where 40% is permitted. The proposed clearing is less than what is existing today. Obviously, we're going to revegetate the property with appropriate duneland vegetation. It would be approximately 7,228 square feet less than what's cleared today, all of which I believe is permitted under the code, except for the area within which the clearing has occurred, some of it. The proposed structures are common accessory structures and will not negatively impact neighboring properties. Finally, I would just say that with respect to Town Code Section 255-551D, the planner had cited that section was specific to this application. The application does seek to place the proposed structures further upland toward Montauk Highway, further away from the scenic easement area. And the benefit of the application, aside from the proposed low nitrogen system and restoration of the duneland vegetation, is that it actually draws the living area away from the easement area toward the driveway area and Montauk Highway area of the property. So approving the structures in their proposed location will have a real impact and benefit to the environment in that way. So I just want to go through some of these exhibits with you, if I may, and then I'll turn it over to Billy. This won't take long. I know it's already been a long evening. This is the survey.
Can I ask a question?
Sure. Well, can I just share the aerials first, sir, and then I'll answer all the questions you have, just in case maybe it answers your question. First, this is the survey which shows we took the fence out. And it shows we took out the play area.
Mhm.
And then let me just, hold on, I just want to show you this. Here we go, sorry. This is an aerial of the property, and the property is up here. And this is an aerial of the property from 2004, which shows the grass area very clearly. And it also shows, I just wanted to show this, the dune land vegetation starting here. There are wetlands in here, obviously, but we're trying to move everything back in here. This is the driveway. This is not dune land vegetation. And then this is the survey. I'm sorry, this is the aerial today, which is a little bit skewed. I didn't get it in correctly.
Mhm.
And this is the proposed planting plan that Billy will review with the board. But I'm happy to answer your question. I'm sorry, Mr. Brenneman.
I wanted to know if you would be submitting a written protocol associated with what you just outlined.
Absolutely, we're happy to do that. Yes.
I would just say, given the disregard of the current scenic easement, I'm very concerned about the proposed work that's being done to remove these structures. And I just want to make certain that we're protecting the easement during that process.
Mm-hmm. I can understand that. And that's why we've retained First Coastal to help us with ensuring that the restoration is complete and that there's as little impact as possible.
Before I want to let Tim, any other questions, Tim, before I speak? Tim?
No, that was it.
Thank you. A quick question related to that before we hear from Billy. If you can hold that screen, please.
Sure. Sorry.
So, as you know, I was at the site today, and Billy can touch on this, but right by the shed or the exercise studio there are a couple of trees that would be a shame to have to take down in order to move that building that did not get a building permit. So I can understand if in the cleared area, that right where that cursor arrow is that says turf grass and topsoil, you can put your cursor there. I imagine to move that, you are going to probably have to use some of that already disturbed scenic easement area. So I'm fine with that if it means saving those two trees that are there.
Okay.
But with a broader brushstroke here on the whole project, I want to tell you that if this is approved by this board, I can understand you bifurcating it. And here's what I would, and maybe Billy, and you can comment on this as a suggestion, pretty much yours, whereby a permit with this, you get a permit first to take the shed out of there, to dig out the old sanitary. Obviously, you need to put in the new sanitary so that the house has sanitary. So the two sanitary systems are part of that same application. You're taking out the court, and then you're getting that rear yard, that vegetation that we're seeing. You're getting that done. And I would like to see that work done and signed off on by the planning department. To Tim's point about the previous owner, perhaps, but the disregard here, before you get the building permit for the pool house and the garage. And this way, this board knows that things have been taken care of. And then the second phase could be the building permits for those two structures, which would be pretty straightforward. And that's my comment for you two and the board to consider as well. So shall we hear from Billy? Billy's already been sworn in, counsel, so I guess that's okay if Billy Mack speaks again without being sworn in?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, good evening again, Billy. You there? Oh, LTV, do you feel like Billy in?
Yes, Chair, he's here.
Billy Mack here. Hi, board. Thanks, Chairman Whelan. Yeah, the goal here obviously is to restore the easement back to naturally vegetated native vegetation, and do this as delicately as we can. And I think Chairman Whelan, you brought up a good point of the access. So, and also perhaps I'll defer to Liz on this, but splitting up the application into two, or at least getting approvals for the first phase and then the second phase to follow right after, which would be cleaning up the backyard, putting in the new sanitary, or taking out the old sanitary, putting in the new sanitary, and then doing the revegetation shortly after that. and then do the structures to follow. So we did draft a protocol, and I think that was looked at, but I think there are so many components to this that it was good to hear from the board to find out exactly what direction you'd like us to go in, and I agree with Chairman Whelan's assessment on that.
Okay, thank you, Billy. And I'll just say that, as Billy knows, and excuse me, as Eleni in our planning department will often or does, they work with the applicant, in this case with Billy Mack, on their suggestions. And I'm sure, Billy, you would be amenable if this is approved to any amendments to your planting plan. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, and I did a quick assessment of the native vegetation that's in the area, and our first draft was to mimic exactly what's there. And there are some other items that we can consider. Obviously, there are some invasives that are there that are common, like the honeysuckle. But most of what we were proposing to put in is, well, actually, all of what we were proposed to put in was completely native and consistent with the area.
Yeah, and as you know, it's spectacular property. You can see from my photos, and that's why I would love to see this plan incorporated well enough so that no future lawnmowers or anything else are going back in there again. But I'm sure you know that. So, board members, any other questions for Billy? I guess no. Okay, Liz, let's hear from the planning department now. Eleni, good evening again.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Good evening, board members. Am I still muted?
No, you're good. You're good, Eleni. We hear you. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, so we have been working with the applicant's attorney on this application for quite some time now. And our main concern with this parcel was the violations and the clearing within the scenic easement. I will note on the wall that was brought up earlier, they did receive ARB approval in 2009, and that was a part of a 2010 ZBA. It was an administrative application, so that was permitted. It appears that it was it is what was allowed. However, the parcel hasn't received a certificate of occupancy since 2002.
Okay, so that'll come out. That might be coming out in the future plans. I'm not sure, but go ahead, please. Thanks, Eleni.
Sure. So I'll state that it was stated in 1998 when the parcel was originally improved that no turf, lawn, sod, ornamental vegetations would be allowed on this parcel. So it has been. It appears since. At some point since 2002 onward is when the lawn was installed, and that the prior owner was made aware of this in 2006, and then the current owners were made aware of it in 2019 when we went to do the lot inspection on the parcel. The applicant has made it clear that they are willing to remedy these issues. So we are working with them, and we are happy to work with them in getting the parcel revegetated to its natural state. That is something that we would like to see done. As far as the proposed improvements are concerned, they do meet the 100-foot setback. So the planning department does not take specific issue with those proposed improvements as long as all the violations are addressed and remedied prior to the issuance of a building permit. I will note that the IA system can be viewed as mitigation since it would not be required for these proposed improvements. And yeah, I'll just say that the revegetation plan that was brought up on the screen, I was actually looking at an earlier version of a plan. And so I would say that we would like to see that submitted to the planning department for comments, but it does appear that these are native species that we would see in this area. So as long as it stays within that realm, the planning department will be comfortable with that. If there are any questions?
I have no questions, Eleni, but thanks for your work on this. Board members?
John, you brought up this wall that you said was 12 foot high, but there was an approval for an 8-foot wall. I'm a little confused. Eleni has said that was part of a previous approval. Was it approved as an 8-foot wall? And then what, on the back side of it, it's 12 foot to grade?
Yeah, it seems to be about 7'8". I counted the boards up, and it seems like from the pool deck, it's about 7'8", and then it goes down a few more feet. So maybe while the record is still open, while the written record's open, Eleni, we could just ask you to maybe just submit something on what you found on that, if you would, Eleni, if that makes sense.
Yes, I have the ARB approval at the time, and then the administrative NRSP from 2010. So it was a privacy wall. So I'll make sure that's in the record for the board.
Okay. Okay. Great.
That was in the. Can you hear me? That was in the existing conditions that Eleni sent us out. Shows the ARB approval.
Okay, I can go back and double check.
On the property card.
Yeah. I know, I'm sure it might have been, but it might not have been meant to be 11 or 12 feet off the grade. That's my point.
Grade. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But I think, thank you, Eleni, for looking into that. I'll take a look myself. We can, between the record closing, we can always get something in if we need to. Any other questions, board members, for Eleni? No? Okay. Okay, LTV, do we have any callers on the line?
No, we do not.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Liz, I think we're all set.
Chair, before you close, Liz, the items that you showed tonight, have those all been submitted to the file?
No, I just got the updated survey. And I would think that the board would want an updated, so I should share my screen again so you can see.
No, I need you to submit the hard copies. Can you submit the hard copies to the office?
And the updated survey.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I will.
Sure. And the updated survey, again, you'll have a couple of weeks here.
Okay, great, great.
Because
yes.
Right, so, okay, excellent then. I will go ahead and make a motion then with regard to 9 Shipwreck Drive in Amagansett, the Hispaniola Trust, tax map number 300-152-2-8.36, to close the public hearing and leave the written record open for 2 weeks after the transcript is posted on the town website.
I'll second it.
I concur.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Eleni.
Thank you, board members. Have a good evening. Thank you so much for your consideration.
You as well. Take care. Okay, board members, we will move along. We'll go right down the agenda to the minutes approval for draft minutes of September 14th, 2021. I looked at them, they look fine to me. Do I have a motion to approve the draft minutes?
Terry, you're on mute.
Terry's normally our minute.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, the minutes were updated, right?
They were.
Yeah. Okay. So make a motion to approve the draft minutes for the East Hampton Town Zoning Board of Appeals for this September 14th, 2021.
Second.
I concur.
And I concur. And thanks for that edit. And Laura, thanks for those minutes. Laura McPherson, our CBA secretary, and Kyle still helping you out. We appreciate you both. Okay, next, we'll move to resolutions. First, we have the first is in my district, so I'll handle this. The first one is Peter and Joy Hamburger at 12 Sandpiper Lane in Amagansett. And that is at tax map number 300-175-4-6.1. And this application, as you recall, was heard back on the public hearing on May 18th, 2021. And this was to demolish the existing residence, the pool patio, and construct the 2-story, 3,053 square foot house, porches, pools, decking, etc. And we all, pardon, let me just scroll ahead, the entire board agreed on this approval. And I would like to make a motion with regard to Peter and Joy Hamburger at tax map number 300-175-4-6.1 to approve the determination as written.
Second.
Okay.
Concur?
I'll concur.
Okay, thank you. And next we have Sean Hallinan and Marta Friedland. And this is at 31 Breeze Hill Lane in Springs. Tim, do you want to pinch hit for Roy, or do you want me to, or whatever you?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Will you? Thank you.
I wasn't immediately ready, but I can be.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I've been talking a lot, but I do have it open in front of me if it's difficult to access.
Sure. Okay. So why don't you do it, Mr. Chairman?
Okay,
I'm
sure.
Scrambling here.
Sure, that's fine. Thank you. Okay, so board members, this hearing date was August 3rd, 2021. And the purpose here was to construct a 264 square foot garage and allow a 306 square foot of deck to remain on a parcel containing tidal and freshwater wetlands. And the entire board concurred on denying the application in its totality. So I don't have to read all of that through. Yet I would like to make a motion with regard to Sean Hallinan and Marta Friedland, tax map number 300-94-6-9, to approve the determination as written.
Second.
Concur.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Nancy Lynn, for your work on those. And I believe, council, do you have any other business?
Oh, we have no other business tonight.
Amazing. We made it through. Well, thank you all for helping out this night and for all your work on these applications, everyone. And thank you, board members. Who would like to, Ed, would you like to make a motion and close this out from way out there in Montauk?
If I know how to do it. I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on what is today? September 22nd?
21st, I believe, right? 21st, yeah.
21st.
Yep.
9:04 p.m.
And we'll note the time is 9:05 p.m.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to second that well-framed motion.
Exactly. Terry?
Then I'll concur.
And I concur as well. Again, thank you all.